everybody, Jason Burmis here, and we got a lot to talk about on this mixed martial mindset. We had two big cards over the weekend. I was unaware, but the man himself, John Fitch, was actually on site in enemy territory over at the UFC Fitch.
The PNC
What?
In Raleigh, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know I was going to be there. I have a longtime sponsor, Oak Grove Technologies, is a been supported for a decade for us. A lot of guys at AKA and Zinkin Entertainment, and we've gone out there a few times to do some promo stuff for them. And I thought this was going to be another one of those deals, but I got there and I found out there's a UFC in town. I had no idea.
And they just said, "Hey, we're going."
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. All right, well, we'll get to that in a minute. I want to remind everybody, we do this every Monday, 6 p.m. Eastern. But if you miss it, or you've got a buddy that can only listen to the audio version, we are killing it over at thegruelingtruth.com. I want to thank everybody that is tuning in and listening. We get well over 1,000, sometimes 2 or 3, just on this platform alone. So thank you guys so much for supporting this show. I mean, we're literally like 4 months old at this point still. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And by the way, no one else is going to tell you the fucking truth. Okay? Nobody else out there is going to tell you the truth.
There is no MMA journalism. There's only MMA PR.
100%. We're going to get into that with the Stephen A. Smith comments. I want to talk about Cyborg cementing her legacy. And then, of course, the UFC card. We're going to recap everything. I want to tell people about John Fitch's regular channel. You want to go over to Official John Fitch and check him out. I really enjoyed the Diego Turtle video this week.
Yes.
Why don't you tell my audience a little bit about Diego and why they should be following?
Well, it's kind of a crappy story, honestly. Because you find out that Diego was only the second most popular tortoise they had.
What do you mean it was only the second most popular?
But basically, 2 male tortoises brought the species back from the brink of extinction. It went from 14 turtles total to a total of 44,000, I think now.
Uh-huh.
And the big deal was that 40% of the turtles were populated by this guy Diego, this loud, robust, full of action Diego, who's kind of an exhibitionist. And then you get to the juice of the story, and there was another turtle who's like wasn't interested in sex at all. And then the other turtle, they call him E5. He was responsible for 60% of the population. They don't even really give him any props. I don't understand.
So you're telling me you're disappointed? I mean, turtles are so hot right now. Straws and turtles are big. I mean, big topics. People are really interested in turtles and straws. But you think that E5 not having a name, they're really disrespecting him because he's out?
Since when did tortoise repopulation become so political?
Everything's political. Everything's fucking PR. That's why we do this show.
I know. I was like, I'm all about meritocracy. Mm-hmm. And Diego, I'm sorry, getting props over E5. It's just communist.
And by the way, you don't just have to go over to Official John Fitch on YouTube. You can just go to johnfitch.net. Up here is all the social media. I know that you did that seminar. You're hanging out with Mercs this week. What's coming up in the next couple weeks for John Fitch?
Well, I'm prepping for another seminar here in San Jose on the 29th, Heroes Martial Arts. Continuing to develop that self-defense program. Going to eventually turn it into an online course, and hopefully we'll have that up for people to be able to access that anywhere. And I'm still trying to get my dang pictures to use for my book, for my weight cutting book. And I'm hoping to have that weight cutting book out hopefully before summer.
All right. I like it.
It's finished. It's finished. It's done. I want to have 3 pictures I want to use. But it's a slow process.
Scott Coker, let's go. And guys, you can check me out on this new platform, rockfin.com, along with people like Jordan Burroughs, Ben Askren, Chael Sonnen, Nico House, the Convo Couch. And you got an exclusive video on Hillary Clinton and her new Hulu docuseries that's going to reframe the argument of how great she is, coming in March, just in time for her to sneak in for 2020. So if you want my take on that, is exclusively at the premium membership for Rockfin. So this weekend's fights, obviously, Cyborg solidifies, or cements herself into history. Although I don't know any other fighter that's lasted as long as she's had and has accomplished as much in the women's division, period. Is there anybody else that rivals that?
No. She's had a dominating career for a very long time. She goes and wins and dominates in every organization she's in. She's definitely a female greatest.
I tend to agree. I mean, Nunes has a chance to maybe surpass her if she can do another 5 to 8 years of work, and that's very possible.
And you're going to have to consider when Nunes is said and done, the level of competition that she's faced, I think is a much higher, steeper competition than Cyborg has, because there's just such a discrepancy between talent.
I agree.
In the early ages of MMA and women's MMA.
Well, not only that, but John, even currently with women's fighters like Rachel Madafree, who played the spoiler last week in the UFC, where she was a 4-1 dog. I mean, not that she had great striking, but she has so much better distance, striking, conditioning. You could see her physical build. Wrestling got better. She was always very good on the ground with jiu-jitsu, but just to see her evolution as a mid-level to top 5 fighter in her division is a lot. And you know what? We said Nunes. We should have also said Shevchenko, because I don't think anyone's beaten Valentina. I mean, that is some straight, cold, Russian, Red Sparrow shit right there. She knows multiple languages. Shoot you at 150 yards cold-heartedly, and then, I don't know, take your carcass and make a suit out of it. All to survive.
Gotta be careful. She's not a sleeper cell.
Dude. If you don't think that's the real deal, I mean, take a look at that woman. By the way, Flick Off, thank you for that KO Hippo super sticker. Now, as we do here on Mixed Martial Mindset, we talk about the uncomfortable truths of pay. So I was looking at the pay here, and by the way, the fight was tremendous. It was a 4th round KO for Cyborg, but lots of action on the ground, on the feet. Even the finish was in the 4th round.
It was back and forth. It was a solid fight.
Fuck yes.
A lot of there's not that many girl fights. Usually it's an ass whooping, or it's a little slow. Like, it's rarely that it's back and forth like this. Julia Budd was in that fight
the whole time.
Easily rematch.
You know, I was thinking to myself, maybe she was going to rally in the 4th. You know, she was in the 3rd looking rough. You could see that. Obviously, first time in real deep waters against a contender. But, man, even watching Cyborg finish with that, I think it was like a 6 to 8 punch combo, you could tell if she didn't and Bud survived, hit her with that body shot.
If she wouldn't land that body shot, the fight would have continued 100%.
Exactly. And, I mean, she was rocking her in the head. Even in the 4th round, there was some real power behind those shots, John.
Cyborg looked amazing. She was cold, calculated. She knew when to pour it on, when to turn it down. Looked good.
You know what I was thinking of when I was watching her?
I've never seen her throw that much strategy into her fighting and temperament before.
No, I was thinking she was taking a page out of the Overeem book, where she wasn't, fully gassing herself out in the 4th, exposing her chin all the time. Right? Stepping back after a good 3 to, sometimes she put 7 down. You know what I'm saying? But she wasn't doing 15. You know what I mean? She was stopping, but at the same time, she was on top. She was on her back. Props to Julia Budd, because I'm going to tell you right now, I've watched her fight before, but there just has not been this level of competition against her. And I think it was a big question whether she was going to get run through or not. And she did not. She did not get run through. Again, this is the women's fight of the year. Obviously, it's 2020, but I can't name a better, more competitive women's fight, and that includes, Nunes, Cyborg, Nunes knocking her out in the last year that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah, top tier. Good job, Scott Coker. Great on that. But let's look at the pay. Props to Julia Budd, making $350,000. But Cyborg at $250,000. I mean, what do you think about that? She obviously isn't going to get the UFC contract. Right? She comes into Bellator, signs pretty quick, I think within 2 months, right? Has a fight within 3. I don't know the contract terms, but do you think that's a decent payday? It helps her brand. That is $250,000 down. That's a tough opponent. That's a fight.
It's impossible to know. It's impossible to know because we don't have a free market, right? So it's a lot of money compared to what most MMA fighters make. But at the same time, we don't know what it would be if she was, able to make a percentage off of her name,
And that's the
right?
thing,
So,
right? I mean,
yeah.
she also.
So maybe it's a lot more, but then again, maybe it's not. But it's a roll of dice. But I say the fighters have the right to find out for themselves what their market value is.
Well, I'll say it like this: that was a prize fight. And that wasn't an easy run-through prize fight. That's a fight that, I mean, you would hope, especially later in your career, you're fighting another champion. Obviously, Bud was up to the task, especially when you watch even boxing, when there's how many belts floating around out there, and then it's not that competitive when two of them step in. This one really was. And, I think $4 or $5 million, would be, at least at this point with that skill level of MMA, bare minimum. And no matter what sponsorship she has, unless she's got, TV deals down in Brazil, which I don't know about, or sponsorships there, I think it's a pretty rough case. That was a DAZN exclusive. I love DAZN, but you're not reaching how many crowds?
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the viewership was on it and then compare that to what they're kind of given. You have to compare it to what the boxers make under a freer market. It's kind of the only comparison you can do is like what does an athlete who boxes make or a female boxer make who draws the same amount of viewership?
And by the way, guys, lots of top guys, and this is another problem with me. Darian Caldwell's a former champion. He's making $25K on a no-win bonus. First of all, this is a card that arguably maybe you could get away with charging $19.99 on a pay-per-view in America for, right? Yeah. You lead in with some of these other fights like Sergio Pettis, maybe as the headliner of the prelim, who knocked off $60K and looked tremendous, by the way. He looked great in that. Archuleta, that was a tough fought fight. Corrales is tough.
Ex-Boilermaker right there.
I like Archuleta a lot, and I thought he fought this well. There were a lot of boos because of how, I guess, exciting the prelims were, and you know how some MMA fans are, and it drives me nuts. You know what I'm saying? But that was a pretty well-fought fight. So you have a top-tier card here, and would you do better than doing with DAZN? It's tough for me to say, but John, I got to get your opinion. You're balls deep in Bellator. Have you heard the news that Showtime is now taking over all of the Bellator stuff? So that's the division that now kind of Coker is under. He's done business with them before in Strikeforce, even teaming up with Elite XC back in the day.
The difference with boxing and MMA is that the boxer will get to negotiate a part of the deal with the network and the promoter, whereas under this MMA model, it's just the promoter and the network. The fighter doesn't get in the conversation at all. He doesn't have a seat at the table.
And by the way, CBS had a chance. CBS, Viacom, they're all CBS, Viacom for people that don't know. Spike TV, aka now Paramount Network. It's all the same thing. It's Showtime. Showtime has had a boxing division. They have pay-per-view. They were in the past there with Strikeforce for years. They even tried shows with Fedor and Overeem on CBS, and at every step of the way, in my opinion, they didn't do it right. And it wasn't until
I think it's because they didn't. A lot of people didn't understand how to make money off of MMA yet. I think they're figuring it out now, and that's why.
Well, I just feel like, all right, so you look at a model like Bellator, which probably came in during the last 5 years of Strikeforce, somewhere in there. You know what? 2010's when I saw Askren. They had that one season which was straight up in Mexico, and give Rebney fucking credit. He had them on MTV2 by season 2. And whether that was at 1 a.m. and college kids checking it out, with Bellator first, second, even third, fourth season, you had a low overhead. You're going into arenas of 3,000 or less, mostly local fighters in tournament mode, building your organization. And then when he turned it over to Viacom, without him leaving, when he realized, hey, we need bigger, what did they do? They went kind of pro wrestling, but at least you had that model. They let you bring the pride back, right? The stuff that you saw Coker trying to do, I felt, with Strikeforce and CBS, that model with the big walkout, maybe some fireworks, but not properly promoted. No run-ups on that network of how fucking important Fedor Emelianenko is other than a here or there, or how important Josh Barnett was at the time. I go through. I mean, if you look at the champions they produced, the Cormiers, the Rockholds, Robbie Lawler's resurgence, Nick Diaz. I mean, it was incredible, the talent pool we still talk about.
It's just the business strategy that the UFC was using was to, because they wanted a package to sell it. Zuffa wanted a package to sell it. So they were making it as professional looking as they could. And part of that was, no ramps, no big entrances, we're going to be like, a professional football team walking out to the field or running out to the field. So that's part of what they were doing there is they wanted to give off the image of sport while they were simultaneously running everything like pro wrestling.
Yeah, as above, so below. I know, yes. I get it.
It's like if you had too many ramps and fireworks, they might confuse their actual pro wrestling product for what they want you to think is a sport.
And look, man, I would say this, at least in Bellator, when you're getting a wash fight. When they're sitting up ham and eggers against fucking Venom Page. I mean, it. It's right in your face.
Yeah, they don't have the guy's image even taken.
No, yeah. I mean, what you're getting. And with the UFC that has a little bit more, prestige and spotlight on it, you don't know what you're getting in a lot of cases. And that's why before we even go over the card you were at, because I want to talk about that at length. It was pretty good. I want to talk about this big controversy that now, of course, fucking McGregor has weighed in on it. Now, here, you can't get Kevin Iole fucking can't cover enough of McGregor, but what I'm talking about is
he's the number one PR writer for the UFC, that guy. Oh, Jesus. There's never been a bigger hack in hack. And being a hack. He's the hacky king of being hacks.
Oh, dude. No, there's the other guy, too. The really other heavy set guy. They compete. He's the one that gets the first question at every press conference. In fact, I was with, he might get a kick out of this. I'm going to do it live. But I was with my brother, and he was asking me what his name was. And I don't fucking know his name. So I go, why don't you just type in fat fuck MMA journalist? So we do it live here. And we'll go right to images. And there he is. First one that comes up right here. I would say he might be the biggest fucking PR guy for him. But that's just me. Not K-Flow. See, K-Flow had it raw. He got taken out for saying the truth. He started challenging the narrative. You don't do that, K-Flow. I always liked Kenny Florian. This is the guy right here. I don't know what his fucking name is. It can't be Mike Russell. But he's terrible. They're terrible. And the big controversy, of course, was Stephen A. Smith said that Cowboy didn't show up to fight, and he fucking gave this rant and blah, 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 blah. And I got news for you.
He didn't say anything wrong. I don't think he said anything that was incorrect.
Not a goddamn thing. He didn't say a goddamn thing. In fact, he didn't go hard enough. And listen, I'll say it again. That man has never stood down in a fight in his life, even when he's gotten clipped. He's never reacted that way unless hit to the body. Number two.
People choke sometimes.
Sometimes, John.
It's a big fight, a lot of pressure.
200 to show, 200 to win. The guy fought with a fucking closed eye against Tony Ferguson. I'm just pointing that out. Now, I'm not saying that a UFC paid him. But again, if there was a bigger payday somewhere else, if there was, that's all I'm saying. Someone should actually say that. And then Rogan going off, and I watched this thing, on Stephen A. Smith, and then showing Stephen A. Smith hitting pads. Have you seen this yet?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's embarrassing, sure. But he's like, what?
Yeah, I mean, I know, but like you're taking a physical attribute, something can do physical to discredit a point of view rather than talking about the point of view. This is all just narrative control.
Thank you, John.
This is what I see, regardless of whatever was said. Like I didn't even really hear what was said, but I could see everything going on around it, and I'm like, oh, this is all narrative control. They're trying to force a story. And I'm like, why are they doing this? And usually when this kind of thing happens, it's either trying to cover something up or they're just ego invested into their belief, and their belief is being challenged with this point of view.
And I'll say it again. Listen, Cowboy's a guy I've watched fight since the WEC. I remember being in Colorado in 2007, and people were talking about Cowboy. Just talking about him back then. I always liked watching his fights. I lost all my respect when he was the guy to jump in on the conversation when McGregor was asked about the sexual assault period. He had no business doing that, and I'm sorry, you don't jump in on that. That's when I knew not only the fix was in, because I can only imagine how many tweets he got about the rapes and the sexual assaults. Continuously my thread is getting more and more hits. By McGregor's next fight, that thread will have been shared over 100,000 times. I guarantee it, if there is a next fight. So people know what's going on. It's obviously been asked. You stay out of it, but he didn't. And I get he wants his payday, but at that point, you're getting that payday no matter what, that $200K. You didn't get a bonus, apparently. You didn't get a win bonus. So I don't know, man. McGregor's now jumping in on the Stephen A. Smith thing and saying that he needs to apologize to Cowboy. I still think, even being a retard on any subject matter, you should still be able to have an opinion. And then someone should be able to say, that's retarded because. And I get it. The guy's a warrior.
Yes.
He's fought.
So, they're just saying a bunch of stuff that doesn't really comment on what he actually said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I thought he was dead on. And, I watched some of his response to Rogan. He's like, you're wrong, Joe Rogan. You're wrong, Joe Rogan. But at the end of the day, we also have to realize this is a sparring battle between two people that literally get paid tens of millions of dollars every single year for talking. And kudos to them for that. So keep talking.
They're just joking. They're laughing too. This is all just pro wrestling to them. They don't give a shit.
Rogan's got so much fucking going for him right now.
Everybody who's upset at home about this, these guys are probably laughing. They drink beers together. Ha 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 ha. I'm gonna say this. Look at this. They send over tweets or text back and forth to each other. I'm gonna say this. You say this. Ha ha ha. This will be great.
But I'm the conspiracy.
None of it's real, people. None of it's real. It's all pro wrestling. Spend some time with your family. Hug your loved ones.
It's real to me, damn it. It's real to me.
Like I can't remember who, there was Shale and somebody were like a huge beef, and they're trying to talk up a fight, and they're texting back and forth to each other, building the fight up. Like they were.
Oh, for sure. I watched
in selling it.
Have you ever watched the documentary on the guy who is supposedly the white? I think it's Gene Cooney or Gene. Man, I can't remember his name. It's not the regular Cooney guy that you hear so much about, but maybe Gene Cooney. But he was the guy that basically was the model for the Rocky movies in a lot of different ways, right?
Oh yeah.
And he got to fight Ali, and he tells the story that when Ali was trying to sell the fight, he wanted him to call him an N-word on television. And then, he had refused to do it. He's like, nah, man, we're not going to make this a racial thing. I can't do it. I'm not racist. I don't want people.
Because he said, I know you guys don't care, but like, I got to go back to the gym.
Well, it was funny because Ali, on national television, when they're both sitting there, accuses him of doing it anyway in the back. Basically calls him out and says, you called, this and that. And they're just like, damn, man, that's crazy. And so, and they, liked each other. He had a payday there and everything else, but people don't understand that. They don't understand there's actually is a behind the scenes.
He wobbled him.
Yeah.
He wobbled him.
Oh yeah. And that's a really good doco.
And all the Ali groupies say that he tripped on the mat, but no, he wobbled him. Listen, he got him once.
Ali is known not only because of the fact he was able to come back and win some big ones, especially against Foreman when he was on a tear, but because of his mouth, right? Because of his mouth. And he spent a good part of his career in prison for being a political prisoner. He changed his name. There's so much going on in the Ali story that just no other pro athlete had, period, and will never have, in my opinion, because the times were so different. And then on top of that, for all that fervor, for the fact that his mouth was one of the main things that got him to where he was, to lose that ability in your last, 30 plus years of life, that's crazy, dude.
Yep.
It's crazy. All right, let's talk some UFC. Dos Santos goes down to Blaydes. Blaydes looked impressive again. Blaydes, again, all he makes is $180 fucking grand on this fight, and he doesn't get a win or a $50,000 bonus for that KO. Well, how do you feel about that?
Which one?
That was Blaydes versus Dos Santos. So in other words, he made 85 to show, 85 to win. This is a guy who's beaten every fucking guy in front of him except Ngannou twice, and the no contest is a dude he fucking TKO'd.
Well, they've got him. They must have him in a really shitty contract, and he's just stuck.
I mean,
he's stuck until he's, who knows? They might have signed him for a 9-fight contract deal, and it was shitty. And now he's beating big names, and he should be making, 6 figures, show win or something flat. But he just got 3 more fights before he gets to negotiate again.
Dude, I mean his record, he's impressive. I mean, look, he got turned off by Ngannou, but Ngannou will turn off a semi truck. I mean, if you get clipped, if you're not Stipe level boxing, who arguably at this point is still making his run, in my opinion, for the greatest heavyweight ever. Velasquez is probably up there for sure, but Stipe defended it, man. And, he beat Cormier in that second fight. He's an impressive dude. I mean, you look at this, and the guy, I mean, again, for the heavyweight division, he went through Olenek, he went through Hunt, he went through Overeem, Willis at your gym, Abimurknadov, and now Dos Santos. I get that a lot of these guys are older and on the tail end, but what else does the heavyweight division have for this guy? Lewis.
Yeah, what other names are there? Like, and they're so terrible. Like, they're refusing to do their job of being a promoter, right? The promoter should have these guys followed around with cameras and shit all the time. They should have people run their social media accounts. They should be driving their accounts up to, hundreds of thousands of followers, but they don't. They won't do any of it. They require the fighter to do it himself. They want the fighter to promote himself and get that following himself. And then once he has that buzz, then they'll put him in the cage because they can make more money off of him. Like, they're just using guys. You're a hoe, right? You're not a valuable hoe until you've acquired enough attention. And they leave that up to you. You got to do it all by yourself. And fighting sometimes isn't enough. Winning fights and especially winning fights, but like even being exciting. It doesn't always give you the, there's a business beside the promotion these days. If you're not involved in the social media marketing at some level, like, you're just not going to get it. You're just hoping that you get lucky and people find you by luck.
I mean, the guy's got 11 UFC fights under his belt. And again, the only 2 losses.
Yeah, that's not a nothing. That's not nothing.
But heavyweight division though, man. Think about
What's his do real time? Search what is Instagram? Has he got that? Like, what's his Instagram?
Oh, you're saying how popular he is? Let's see how many followers he has on Twitter.
If he's had 11 UFC fights, they should have this guy to 50 to 100,000 followers.
You would think. Well, I think he's got 100,000. Blaydes, he might have 200,000. Let's get to him.
Yeah, as a heavyweight also.
Yeah. I think after he knocked out Overeem, that got him a lot. But then again, Rosenstrike knocked his face off, and I bet you Rosenstrike doesn't have, 50,000 if we look him up. So let's check it out. We do it live here, guys. We do it live on the Mixed Martial Mindset podcast.
You got all this technology around us.
I know. It's crazy, right? In live time. Boom. There it is, by the way. How come I can't find Curtis Blaydes' fucking Twitter when I fucking search?
He might not have a Twitter because if he's a younger guy.
He's got to have a Twitter, people. There we go.
Only like 2% of the U.S. population uses Twitter. So it's like,
oh, my God, dude.
You be
22.3 thousand?
22,000?
That's
See what I'm saying?
crazy.
See what I'm saying?
Dude, I almost have that many. Like, I'm not that far behind.
Right? So he probably manages it all by himself.
100% he does.
Everything by himself. But like that's the thing. Like, you look at DAZN, how them promoting fighters. You have they're not promoters, but Bob Arum or Mayweather Promotions. Like, I'm always seeing stuff. Like, I follow their Twitter. Like, they're always showcasing guys and just putting names out there. Like, it's crazy. Like, but that's what you have to do these days. If you're a fighter, if you're an up-and-coming fighter, you're going to have to learn to either how to self-market through social media. You're going to have to buy some books and study that shit. Or you're going to have to put some money aside and find somebody to do that for you. You're going to have to, get somebody to take the photos and the pictures, figure out a storyline and tell it. It's a full-on job, man.
So one of the big conspiracy theories while I'm thinking about this, John, is we were wondering how McGregor could have gotten to the country, right? I had asked that question with all those convictions. Well, it just so happened that I came across a little video clip on the Mac Life of Darren Till when he was having problems getting into the country. Are you familiar with the Darren Till law problems?
I remember he get naked and do something?
There was some nudity, but that wasn't the big one.
I thought
Till.
he got in a fight or somebody naked. I can't remember.
What's that?
I can't remember. I wasn't paying that close attention.
Darren Till stole a police car with his cronies in the UK and went joyriding with it.
That's
so,
right.
So Till
was he the driver, or was he just in the back cruising?
What's that? I don't know the exact details of that part, but all you need to know is that his management. Let's find it. Darren. We'll play it for the audience because this is mixed martial mindset here. Darren Till just happens to be under the same management as the Kinahan like to represent, the Irish mafia. So here he is talking about his visa problems.
It was like I don't know. I can't even explain it because I'm waiting next door at the embassy in London, and it's just every day that going by is I don't know if I'm getting a visa, and I know that Dana and the guys, they had everyone. I think Dana spoke to Trump about me. I mean, that's
Dana spoke to Trump.
There was times when like I thought this fight's not happening, and that.
So Dana White called the President of the United States, and Darren Till was magically at UFC 244. Mac Life website right here, a little channel. I wonder if Dana might have called Trump to get McGregor in on the deal. I actually played the speech of Dana at the RNC endorsing Trump, where he literally word for word, you could watch my video where I show all this, says, I can call Trump anytime and he will pick up and he will be there for me. That's the kind of guy this is. Not a good look, Trump. Alan Dershowitz, not a good look. I mean, I watched this. I don't know if you've seen the SNL Cold Open with Alan Dershowitz, played by John Lovitz, meeting Epstein in hell. But
I have not seen it.
I'll tell you what, man. It's not that great, and there was a lot of things I hated about it.
I love John Lovitz, though.
But this is a great example. I do love John Lovitz. I mean, he doesn't even try to sound like Dershowitz. He's like, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, he's the best.
Do you remember The Critic? The
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dude, that was a show before its time. That was almost like The Family Guy because of all the clips where it was kind of movie based anyway. But again, just so far beyond its time. And you know why I don't think it worked also for people is it seems like they need the family dynamic to keep coming back. And he didn't really have that going on. He had like the son, right?
I think the squiggly lines was a little annoying.
No, you're thinking of a different one. That's not The Critic. You're thinking of Dr. Katz.
Oh no, I know you. Okay, never mind. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dr. Katz was a different one. Dr. Katz is pretty good too.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I used to watch The Critic like too. Yeah, he did have a son.
Yeah, he did. He had the son, right? And like I don't remember how or whatever, but the son was there sometimes. I don't know, man. I love that show.
Find that.
Oh, so good. The 90s, folks, it happened. It really happened. People talked to one another.
Peaked.
We made phone calls.
My goodness, man.
The internet didn't exist. You actually looked forward to that show because
if you left the house and people didn't know where you were, you were invisible. You just vanished into the ether. You were gone until you called somebody or got home.
That's pretty much it. Can you imagine that now? Like it's almost mind blowing.
I thought people disappeared after school.
And again, if I wanted to watch the X-Files, guys, I had to stay in and watch them on Friday night at 9:00 because I didn't have a DVR. I wasn't going to VHS tape that. If I did VHS tape it, it would keep taping for like the entire tape till it hit the end because no one was going to hit stop.
You couldn't program it just for like 2 hours or whatever. Nope.
That would have been difficult. You know how hard those things were to fucking program.
You'd get all the commercials in there.
The whole nine. All real, guys. It all happened. Oh, fuck, man. So no cards coming up, John, in the next couple weeks. The next big fight is John Jones Reyes. I want to see Dominic shake up the world. John Jones wins another one. I mean, he may solidify himself as the GOAT. Again, I care less of the juice at this point. It's such a joke that they don't have some of these guys on the juice purposely, that it's not happening in every other organization out there. So, I mean, there is no clean era. If you think GSP was all natural all the time, guys, I don't know what to fucking tell you. I mean, am I crazy to say that? Well, how do you feel about it?
It's not looking good. I mean, I tried it. I didn't think I had any real benefit from it. I don't think I did it right or took enough. But it's it's hard to think that they're really doing anything about it. I mean, there's ways to minimize usage, I think, on guys, because they do have random testing, and then they do have the USADA. But I feel like the guys that they don't care about are probably clean, and then the guys they have trouble with, they want to keep in line, they're a little bit harder on. I wouldn't say it's a real balanced way of doing things.
I mean,
I would rather we have a legitimate sport where, when it came to contract negotiations, the bout agreements, that could be written into the bout agreements. That way, if you're a clean athlete and you want to fight clean people, like, you can stipulate the amount of testing done before the fights.
Yeah, but dude, it's almost like a pipe dream, because if you think about it, right? Look all the way back to the Olympics in the 80s when we were kids. When fucking Ben Johnson smoked fucking, what was his name? Carl, am I getting that wrong?
Lewis smoked everybody.
He smoked everybody. And then he was Canadian. He didn't have the red, white, and blue behind him. So they fucking popped him. They stripped him. They fucking embarrassed him in front of everybody. And guess what? The other guy popped hot too. He popped just as fucking hot, if not hotter. And it's covered up to this day. To this fucking day. No one talks about that shit. It's like, hey, we're going to say fuck you to the Russians and not let them compete in the Olympics because they popped hot. And you're telling me that China's not popping hot? Like, let's get the fuck out of here. Like, is Santa Claus real? Is the Easter Bunny competing this year? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, and that's, I'm not trying to encourage it, but you have to at least acknowledge it, right? I mean, listen, let's say it's not a level playing field. At the end of the day, the media should at least give as much attention to these results across the board and at least put them in view, and not make you go to some obscure fucking website. Put it in the fucking track section. Where the guys are checking out the odds every fucking day, and right there, oh, look, he did pop hot. Put it for every fucking athlete. I don't care. And you want merit-based? That's fucking merit-based. Am I living in
have a website everybody can go to?
There you go. Exactly. God forbid there's a database and your narrative gets shattered. You know what I'm saying? And that brings me to my next topic with John Fitch. Obviously, big news around the world, shockwaves with Kobe Bryant dying, right? Now,
wow.
Yeah, huge. I mean, Kobe Bryant, somebody who's been in the public eye his entire adult life, really the person to popularize coming out of high school and then dominating professional sports. Did it before LeBron did. Even Shaq went to LSU. This was the 17-year-old kid everybody watched at 18 in the NBA. And for me, I mean, obviously the other family dying is heartbreaking. The biggest thing, his daughter also dying in that was what hit me. After it was reported, when they said it was his entire family of girls, that was just like, having two girls myself, that sunk in my stomach. But I just want to, I'm not here to attack Kobe. And I almost did a video yesterday about this, but I just want to point out that even with his entire legacy, there were those rape allegations. And shortly after those rape allegations, he bought his wife a giant ring.
$3 million, yeah.
It was all over the media. Now, I'm not here to say whether he did that or he didn't do it. I'm just here to point out the fact that to this day, dying as a 41-year-old man with everything else he accomplished and having a family with his wife, that's still in the conversation. And I'm not so sure it shouldn't be. And it shows a difference between how the media was covered in the late 90s and early 2000s, where a rape allegation against the number one recognized sports star was at least enough in the media where it went away. She was paid off. Again, I don't know to the extent to anything. Most of that didn't go to court, so there's not a lot of things you can look up on it. You know, you can look at the initial complaints, basically, and that's about it, and no retort. We can't even get that anymore in 2020 when we're not talking about just the rape of one woman. We're talking about the rape of 2 women in criminal investigations, previous counts, and one of them almost being beaten to death. And we're supposed to be living in a fucking woke culture of Me Too and social justice. Guess what? No fucking moss. No fucking moss. If anything, free speech has fucking regressed. And pro sports and its narrative has gotten even more sinister.
Everything is PR because everything is controlled by corporations. And the corporations are telling narratives, and people don't spend money when they're mad about ugly things.
Yeah, they don't buy Reebok shoes of violent rapists. It's true. They don't do that, usually. Usually it's a bad look. I remember when John Jones just got busted for a little bit of blow and maybe, hitting a pregnant woman. I mean, was it a car and nobody died? She didn't miscarry. He lost his Nike and Bud Light deal. Like that. Like fucking that. He didn't almost beat a woman to death. Like what the fuck? And like that happened, 7, 8 years ago. It's a progression of fucking just, I think we've devolved, man. I think if anything, that shows that we've devolved in a serious way. Getting into one of these Twitter battles with somebody, I had somebody say, well, there's not another major athlete that's ever had anything like this covered up with domestic violence or anything like that. I go, why don't you just Google what Floyd Mayweather's kid had to say about him in court, what he did to his mother in front of him. I mean, as soon as he did, crickets. We're end of the thread. Oh, wow, they did cover that up. That's still, to this day, John, possibly the number one draw in boxing, and that's not acknowledged.
It's the number one. That's the religion. We have the religion of consumerism.
So what do you think, John?
You can't question the gods.
Is this it?
If it disturbs the buying and selling of stuff, you're upsetting the gods. You can't do that.
So this is it. This is the way eternally.
No, I think we're gonna start seeing. We're seeing some pushback already. I think things are starting to shift.
Do you?
A more logic. I think so, a little bit. I think so because your average person people don't like being anxious. They don't like having anxiety. They don't want people screaming and protesting and yelling all the time. They're tired of it. I think people are tired of it. You see it with comedians saying more and more stuff. You're seeing more and more comedians standing up, pushing against it. I think it's just slowly happening more and more. But at the same time, that dying element that's trying to hold on to like the cancer culture and all that bullshit, they're gonna get louder and louder until they're gone. So
I don't know, man. I feel like we're so fucked. I mean, it's kind of always been this way, but like at least it was kind of in your face because they'd wear like a crown on their head. It'd be like, oh, the king's raping again. Hope he doesn't take my wife or daughter. Oh, well, he can't really do it. He's got the fucking army, right? And then
you have to appreciate, you have to recognize and know where the flow is going, and you just got to be an outlaw. Just use the flow and capitalize and be successful on your own. That's about all you could do.
I agree there. But I mean, when I'm surrounded by a culture of literal sickness, I mean, John, it's literal sickness at this point. When that's the guy that you're promoting on television every day that's now on his fucking victory lap tour for what I feel like 99% of my heart was a fixed fight, fucking after everything going on with a president who came in, he's going to clean up the fucking swamp, John. He's going to clean up the fucking swamp.
He just changed the water. He just changed the water out.
Did he even change the water? I mean, John Bolton's up there waving his prick around at this fucking show trial. And again, he hired the guy that not only defended Jeffrey Epstein, but has been accused of being a pedophile alongside him. It's cartoon fucking world. It's cartoon. And I've still got fucking MAGA heads fucking going nuts on me every time I point out these simple facts. Like, if you listen, man, the last 18 months with just the heat on Epstein, then all of a sudden the arrest, the shakeups in the administration, the failure of impeachment, and then a fast track to impeachment on something totally fucking different. I just feel like the madness has accelerated to a level where it's even hard to keep up with all the
So I'm saying that
deceptions.
they're gonna peak, they're jumping the shark, people are sick of it, and you're gonna see a shift.
I mean,
In
fit for
2020,
president?
there's gonna be a shift.
Why don't you run for California office? Why don't you
don't
do
think
that
not.
alongside this? Be an assemblyman first. Go do that. Go get a state senator spot, something like that, John.
I don't need it. I don't need an answer for my tweets.
You won't have to.
I don't
And
need
not in
an
the
answer for my
beginning.
tweets.
Oh, dude, I think you should do that. You know who turned into I mean, he ran Republican ticket, but I really do like him a lot. Glenn, I can't remember what his last name is, but he was not the Undertaker, but who was the other one? He's Kane. He became Kane. So Kane, he's now like Glenn Jacobs is his name. He's like, he's a congressman, or he might even be a senator, but he does good work. He posts all the time on social media. I remember he contacted me back in the MySpace days when he was still wrestling over some of my stuff. And I think he's made a difference. I think John Fitch could maybe pull the insanity back from California. I'm just saying. You got the look, Fitch. No one's going to fuck with you. Who's going to step to John Fitch? Fitch smash everybody. Think about it. Fitch smash California. That hashtag's going. You are fast tracking the world to some sanity. Maybe we could prosecute some of these criminals. I mean, you'll have to go after the Kamala Harris crew. It's not going to be easy. They're still in power. But
Man,
I mean,
I don't need
where
that.
you're out?
I don't
You're
need
outside
that
of
right
what?
yet.
San Jose, right?
In San Jose, yeah.
Yeah. So you're way away from Northern California. What do you like?
No, it's still northern. It's like the bottom of Northern California.
Well, California's huge. When I say northern, I'm talking above San Francisco and Sonoma.
No. Yeah. Well, like, yeah.
Yeah.
We're the Bay Area. Bay
Yeah.
Area.
I mean, how do you feel about where you live? Like my place is falling apart.
It's super expensive. Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff's falling apart, but some places are nice. The really rich places are nice. But they're like completely different worlds from other places. There's a lot of self-segregation between some of the people. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's a lot of homelessness popping up. So there's definitely a lot of issues. You're always caring about fires and just whatever.
I don't know, man.
Kind of a mess. It's kind of a mess. Unless you're making $250,000 or more a year, like it can be a really rough place to live.
And that's, I mean, you tell that somebody in Middle America, and they look at you with their fucking eyes wide open, like, what did you just say? But you're being correct. And I mean, obviously, it's not like that where I am in upstate New York. But dude, this fucking law, dude. I had a guy. All right, so I just covered a story where a person was found with over 500 images of CP. Okay, I think I was outside of Schenectady. All right, 500 maximum sentence he could see is 2,032 years. They gave him an appearance ticket. He's supposed to show up on Thursday. Will he? I don't know. If that's not fucking crazy enough with this New York State bail reform law, a man who was caught touching several children in a mall inappropriately, God knows what happened there, was given an appearance ticket after being brought to jail. I have people literally killing people via manslaughter that are retroactively being released from prison. Vehicular manslaughter in particular. I just feel like New York, I mean, the things that go on in the city that I've worked so hard in my life to stay away from that I don't like. I mean, great to visit. Love to visit. Great to spend a night on in the town. But living there, that's fucking insane. And, to expand the insanity, this New York State bail reform thing, man, it's got to stop. And they want it
Yeah,
nationwide.
I was talking to a cop from Long Island this weekend, and he was saying it was pretty nuts.
Dude, down there, they had fucking somebody spit in the fucking face of a cop who was HIV positive, walked out after they processed them. Had to. Flipped every fucking one of them off on the way out, too. Like, what is going on? We had to have the feds come in for a guy that robbed 3 banks in a week because they kept letting him out. Why should we have to call in federal law enforcement for a serial bank robber? like that sentence alone should only exist on South Park in Cartoon World.
It's insane. Yeah.
Oh.
It's empathy gone wrong again.
Listen,
Trying to help a problem and they just make it 10 times worse.
I got a lot of empathy in my life. I don't have any empathy for people that are serial drug addicts, criminals, and who cannot help themselves, period. Who want to fucking ruin everybody else's life. Who want to put me and mine in danger. I want other people that are doing their thing, whether I agree with it or not, that isn't fucking up my shit, period. That's it. I don't think that's a nutty thing to live by. Period. And we're already such a fucking welfare state where we're way over the national average of 40+% that are taking some kind of money from the government. We're in New York State. I would not be surprised if it's 65 to 70% on some sort of assistance by either
He was
the
saying
state
there
or the
was
federal government.
there was this thing where the bodegas were giving people cash for the food stamps.
Yeah. Oh, a long time
Right.
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so they would trade in like $500 worth of food stamps for $250 cash. So then the bodega makes money off the extra food stamps, and then they're getting cash for them.
Well, they have every scam going in the city. It's fucking crazy there. Wrapping it up, folks. Remember, go over to official John Fitch over on the YouTube. Subscribe today. Go check out not only these great videos, but interviews with people like Zuby. Where's that one? The Zuby interview still doesn't have anywhere near as many views as it should, in my opinion. You can check out everything John Fitch at johnfitch.net. You can listen to this program at thegruelingtruth.com the following day weekly. Spread that audio podcast out. Remember, I'm rocking it out at Rockfin 5 exclusive times a week, but you can follow for free. You can have your account. You can see all the other stuff like my film, Shade the Motion Picture, in high definition for the very first time for free. Only at Rockfin. Go check it out. Again, Sonnen, Askren, Burroughs, Graham Elwood, Placone, and so many others. Subscribe to this channel. Thumbs it up. Doing it 3 to 7 times a day. And I got the GoFundMe. $5, $10, $15. Means the world to me. You want to end it on anything, Fitch?
No, yeah, you covered it all.
I try to fit it in that hour. John, I will see you next week. Always a pleasure, sir.
All right, man.
Later
Take it
on,
easy,
brother.
guys. Laters.